everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. Liverpool 0, United 0, and this is the ratings show, and I've taken the ratings from the Daily Mirror on this occasion for me to rate their ratings. On the game itself, I said last week, there's no point changing, you can't change your mind in hindsight. Before we played Burnley, I said I'd be over the moon to beat Burnley and take a draw at Anfield, and I said I would happily accept that, and we've got those two results. So there's no point sort of crying over spilt milk and saying, well, we could have won both games, and we could have won both games. And as much as, you know, typical of football fans really, we remember that we had the best two chances of the game, which is fine. We did have the best two chances of the game. I thought Bruno could have hit his with a little bit more venom, if you like, with a little bit more determination. And although Paulie had a great chance, took it down well himself and smashed it towards the goal with great power. And I think the pundits have said he could have tried to get it across the goal, but he was being closed down from that side. I don't think he did much wrong. When you hit a ball with such power, it's only got to be ever so slightly to the keeper's right or to the keeper's left, and he might get an hand to it and it'll fly in. Or if it's low enough, it'll go in off his thigh or his foot, whatever it might be. He's that close in, he hits it with that much power. If it's just a little bit further to one side, it's just going to fly in off the keeper. But it was too direct. And although the keeper got his hands to it, it was right in front of him. It probably would have hit him halfway across his chest if he wouldn't have got his hands to it. So if it had just been that much further out, it probably would have gone in off his hands. Your hands are more solid when they're in front of you than when they stuck out to the side. So I wouldn't criticise Paul for that. The power that he hit it with, I think he fully expected to score when he smashed it towards a goal. But there were two great chances. They had a couple of scrappy chances. The one where Salah managed to poke it through Maguire's legs, he should have shot a bit sooner. There was a great clearance by Lindelof from the 6-yard line when it was going to Mane. A shot by Thiago from outside the box, a cracking save by De Gea. But in general, they were the ones who had a little bit more of the pressure, a little bit more of the ball. They were swinging balls into the box that didn't result in danger quite often. But I always say it's on another day they might have been. It's a bit too. You're looking through rose-tinted spectacles, I think, just by saying we had the best two chances, and we did create the best two chances, but they had more of the play, and there was more balls into the box that could have resulted in danger, and maybe didn't do on the day. So I think overall, although we could have nicked it, I think a draw was a fair result. And as I started out by saying, last week, I said I'd be over the moon with a win at Burnley and a draw at Anfield. There's no point, like I say, turning the clock back now and sort of saying, I wish we would have played it differently and tried to win it. Ollie was a little bit defensive, especially in the first half, but you can't blame him. You can't blame him going to Anfield. You really can't. Pogba played wide on the right and had a defensive job there to track Robertson, and Martial did the same on the left. I was extremely interested to see that switch. It's funny how switches like that happen when you think about it, because Rashford's been playing on the right a little bit recently with Martial at number 9, Pogba to the left. So why was that? If you think about that, all of those players have played those positions recently. Martial's played centre and left, and Rashford's played all of those positions, but a little bit to the right normally. So why was it all changed around? Pogba played to the right to track Robertson. Martial played to the left to track Trent Alexander, and Marcus played at number 9. And there's a couple of reasons, I think. Martial's never as comfortable on the right as he is on the left. He's much more comfortable on the left. But I also believe that he didn't fancy Rashford to have the defensive discipline that Martial would have. So when you look, I'm going to do the ratings shortly, when you're looking at things like that, you need to think what the manager's got in his mind. Martial always plays at number 9 if Pogba's playing, and obviously Pogba doesn't play at 9, but they have to switch sides or whatever. So Rashford always plays on one flank and Pogba on the other. Martial at 9, obviously, unless Cavani starts. The last, I can't remember, it's probably a while back, that without a different number 9 playing, without another person playing at number 9, if Martial and Rashford were both playing, it's always Martial at 9 and Rashford on the flank. So I think it's a credit to Anthony Martial that he was asked to do that job on the left, and then Rashford switched to number 9. That's the way I saw it. So I'm going to start on the markings. Before I do, I've done a new list. And I'm going to read this list out before each of the next 2 or 3 times that I do a rating, the ratings. There's a few people been saying, I've noticed a lot of people saying, yeah, what's a 6, what's a 7? And I've decided to shuffle it around a little bit. And I've shuffled it around a little bit because too often I was sort of saying both of these players deserve a 6, but he was better than him. And so I think by giving a spread of over the whole 10 numbers, it'll be easier to spread people about a little bit and just nudge somebody ahead of another. So I've got 10 new ratings, if you like. Number 1, I've put 1 out of 10. Would be absolutely shocking. I hope no one's ever going to have to be worse than absolutely shocking. Number 2 is terrible. I always think when you put absolutely in front of something, it's even worse. So 2 out of 10 is terrible, and 1 out of 10 is absolutely shocking. 3 is very poor, and 4 is poor. 5 is average. 6, I've put decent or stroke above average, so you know, a bit better than average. A decent game to me is better than saying someone's had an average game. And 7 is a good game, and 8 is a very good game, and 9 I've put, now it's very rare somebody gets a 9, but somebody in this game is getting a 9. 9 is outstanding, and outstanding is a little bit more achievable than what I normally have a 9 as. Because to be outstanding, really, you've only got to be better than all the rest of your teammates, rather than maybe outstanding compared to past games or something like that, just on the day. So I think 9 is outstanding, and 10 still is virtually unachievable. So that's the new list, and I will refer to that as we go through. And as I say, I'll read it out over the next 2 or 3 rating shows, just as so people get used to it. So we've picked the Daily Mirror, written by Alex Richards. It says the assistant sports editor of the Daily Mirror, and he's given David De Gea a 6. What the Spaniard needed to do, he did well. Eye-catching save from Thiago, which he did, but there was little out there to really trouble him. Might be a fair shout. There was a lot of easy saves to make, but I think it's a clean sheet away at Anfield. I think he'll be over the moon with it. I'm sure there was a lot of talking and organising to do. Obviously, in this day and age as well, there's that much football for a goalkeeper to play. He's got to keep it, he's got to decide when to pass it to somebody and when not to pass it. There's a lot of football to be played by a keeper these days. So I think for keeping a clean sheet at Anfield, I would say he had a good game. I'll have to keep glancing at this myself. So I'm going to say David De Gea had a good game. I don't think it'd be good enough just to say he had a decent game or above average. So I'd say David De Gea had a good game, 7 out of 10. Wan-Bissaka, they've given him a 7. Gave us good as he got against Mane, it says. I would agree with that, and also got forward to good effects at times, notably picking out Pogba for the chance that should have won the game. All that is true virtually. The picking out of Pogba, great run by Wan-Bissaka, but as I would thought he tried to cross it. He definitely clipped off the foot of the defender in front of him and went to Pogba. He might have been aiming to pass to Pogba, I don't know, but I wouldn't disagree with it. And I would say Wan-Bissaka was a 7 for me. Again, as I say, that's a good game. There's no reason to say he played better or worse than that. He had a good game. The 2 centre-backs, very pleased with the 2 centre-backs. These have given both 7s. I'm upping them both. Victor Lindelof, they said questions were asked of the Swede selection before the game, but did more than enough to justify Solskjaer's selection. I agree with that. One fine clearance in the second half, which would have been a clean shot on goal for the Liverpool striker if he hadn't made it. They do pick out on single moments. It's natural to do that, and it was just one moment in a game, but he was generally solid. Your 2 centre-backs, to me, your keeper and your 2 centre-backs are your most important players on the pitch in any game. Even more especially in a game where you've got to get a foothold in a game early doors. You're going to be under pressure. So I think I'm going to say 8 for Victor Lindelof. I would say he had a very good game, Victor Lindelof, not just a good game. And the same for Harry Maguire. I've given Harry Maguire an 8. They've given him a 7. Everything that was asked of the United captain in his penalty area, he had an answer to. He did try one crossfield pass on the edge of his box that somebody got a nick on, and it went to one of their players. It was a dangerous moment. But as I say, one dangerous moment doesn't mean you can't have played well, and one great moment doesn't necessarily mean you played well either. So I think Harry Maguire, an 8 out of 10 for me. And here's the first 9 out of 10 that I've given since I've been doing it. Really smart performance for Luke Shaw. They've given him an 8. Really smart performance from the left back, who battled gamely throughout against Salah and should have had an assist with his fine cutback when his fine cutback found Fernandez. Diligent defensively, they've said, and good with the ball. He was superb, Luke Shaw. I think he deserves an outstanding 9. Salah couldn't get any change out of him. Nicked it off his toes numerous times. Good in the tackle. Quick to recover. There was one through ball where it looked like Salah was going to be through on goal. Shaw didn't have to play the ball. He just literally out-muscled him and kept him away from the ball. And the ball ran through to De Gea. On the negative side, though, like I say, it's, for me, it's almost impossible to get a 10 out of 10. He allowed 1 or 2 little mistakes, but he did give the ball away near his. I've just watched it again. He did give the ball away a bit unnecessarily near his own corner flag once, and rather strangely as well, a slight lack of concentration. I'm sure he also had a foul throw given against him. Might not sound a lot, but all these little things can add up in football. If that wasn't a foul throw and he threw it to one of our players, it could end up in a goal for us. You know what I mean? It's just a quirky little thing that I've got. But it's not quirky. You've got to get your concentration right, and simple things you've got to get right. And taking a foul throw at that level shouldn't really be on. But I still say, without a doubt, he was outstanding. So 9 out of 10 for Luke Shaw. Fred, they've given a 6-2. Hustled and harried in midfield and helped relieve early pressure by picking up the ball and advancing through Liverpool's press with it. Possibly, I definitely agree with him relieving early pressure with his harrying and his hustling. I definitely agree with that. They've given him a 6, and a 6 on mine is decent or above average. So I would say yes. Would I say Fred had a good game? Perhaps not. I will stick with above average, decent above average. Couple of clearances. I've watched it again. There was one on the penalty spot. He's got to get it further than that. He really has. I'm not joking. I'd expect an amateur player to clear it better. Comes to him on the penalty spot. He's unchallenged, and it travels about 8 yards along the floor, and they have a shot. Another one came to him in the D. He tried to hook it clear, and it went square of himself again to one of their players just outside our box. There's two or three too many scruffy moments for Fred for me to say that he had a particularly good game. I tempted to say good, but I would say just decent. He wasn't poor, he was decent. Definitely a decent game for Fred. So a 6 for Fred for me, which is what they've given him. I wouldn't disagree with it. Scott McTominay, they've given a 5-2, similar to Wijnaldum, they've said. Strong and solid in patrolling in front of the back four, cleared his lines well when he drops into his old penalty area, but little of real quality from the Scotsman. I saw 2 or 3 real bits of quality from the Scotsman, and I've watched it again just now, where he beat a man under the corner of his own box and passed a 45-yard ball out to our left wing, which set us on the attack. A lot of people are fond of long balls. I'm not keen on long balls, but sometimes there's a time and a place. He played a wonderful long ball down towards the right corner flag that Paul Pogba chased and won as a throw-in. He ended up a little bit secluded down there, Paul. He did well to win as a throw-in in the end. Sometimes that's the best you can hope for from long balls. That's why I'm not keen on them. Everybody else seems to like them, and everybody seems to like certain players playing long balls. And the best long ball we played yesterday was definitely by Scott McTominay. It was an absolute cracker. And like they've said, proper solid. I think Scott McTominay definitely had a good game. Not average or decent, he had a good game. Not very good, but good. So Scott McTominay, 7 out of 10. Paul Pogba started on the right wing, chasing Robertson back towards his own goal. They've only given, I can't remember if I said, they gave Scott a 5, by the way. I've given him a 7. They've given Paul a 5. I'm giving Paul a 7 as well. Started on the right wing, chasing Robertson back towards his own goal before becoming more influential as the game progressed. A couple of opportunities to play the killer pass he'll wish he could have back, not to mention the game's best opportunity. I would say he had a good game, Paul Pogba. There were a couple of you always get it. Not that excuses it, by the way, but there was one crossfield pass that he mishit. It went straight to the full back. Sometimes he just wants to play these Hollywood balls. It's part of his psyche, if you like. And I think he's still prone to trying it when it's not really necessary. Not loads, but a couple of times. But I think he has simplified his game, and I love it when he simplifies his game. And he was strong. He was tracking Robertson well, stopped him coming forward a lot, which was a job that he was given to do. And I think Paul is definitely worth more than a 5. And I would say he had a good game. And that's a 7 for me. Bruno Fernandez, right, they've given him a 4. A 4 in my book is poor. I thought he was very poor. Very poor. Given his usual high standards, I don't agree with that recently either. Given his usual high standards, a really disappointing day for the Portuguese. Didn't do enough defensively against Thiago early doors, and there was little of his usual cut and thrust, and he missed a fine chance putting straight at Alisson. They always mention things like that. It was a decent chance and he should have hit it better, but he did get it on target and there was a little bit of weight behind it. On another day, it goes under the keeper's foot. I don't think it's worth mentioning that when you're giving somebody a mark. It's a little bit unfair. Even though it's a little bit unfair, I'm going to undermark him from 4 to 3 because I thought he was very poor. The number, when you're thinking about this, if you're going to give somebody very poor, you've got to consider why. They've got to do numerous very poor things in the game, and he did so many very poor things in the game. I won't be able to recount them here now. The ball was passed to him by Mctominay on the left wing, and I don't even know what he was trying to do. I put it on Twitter today earlier, actually, a clip of it, and he just booted it right up in the air. I'm sure he was trying to play it right across the field to the wing or through for somebody to chase, but you can see by the venom with which he kicks it and the height that it gets, that even if it would have gone in the direction, maybe if it was going all the way across the field to Wan-Bissaka, it might have had the legs to get there. If it would have been a forward pass for somebody to chase, it would have just gone straight through to the goalkeeper. He absolutely smashes it. It goes straight up in the air. There was a ball come to him in the right back spot where he tried a forward ball and it was just airy-fairy. It went straight to their full back. I remember him trying to take Thiago on the edge of the box. He took it off him like candy off a baby. I remember him getting the ball in the inside left channel and trying to cross it with the outside of his boot. It didn't get higher than a couple of feet off the ground and he cleared it easily. And I was about to say I could go on and on. I know I could go on and on if I actually took a video or maybe wrote them all down, but there's just too many. So if you're going to do so many very poor things, to be better than very poor, it's no good just saying he played a few simple passes as well. You've got to balance that up by doing something exceptional or 4 or 5 really good things. 4 or 5 really good things might balance up 3 or 4 really poor things. And then you've got to do loads of simple things as well. But if you're just going to do 4 or 5 shocking things and no real good things and a bit of decent stuff, to me, it's very poor. I mean, I nearly went 2 for terrible, but I don't want to go that far yet. Let's hope he improves soon because he's been like that, I think, or similar to that for a few games. So I'm giving Bruno a 3, very poor. Anthony Martial, they've given a 4 to. Whether he was fully fit, only Solskjaer and his staff will really know, but he didn't look it. I don't know where you're looking. What's his called? Alex Richards. I don't know where you're looking, Alex. Having been the number 9 for much of the season, it was strange to see him start wide and he failed to make any impact whatsoever. Alex, absolute, complete misunderstanding of the sport. A complete misunderstanding. We wanted to weather the storm. Pogba and Marshall were given the jobs. At half time, Sky put up the average positions of the team. And on the average position map, Luke Shaw and Anthony Marshall almost overlapped each other. Anthony Marshall was playing almost as an auxiliary left back. He was given the job of tracking Trent Alexander-Arnold. Under no circumstances was Trent Alexander-Arnold going to be allowed to double up with Salah, the most dangerous attacking player in the Premier League by a lot of people's thoughts, combined with the most dangerous attacking right back in the league by a lot of people's thoughts. Two players who have recently won the Premier League, the European Cup and the World Championship. And we're going to allow those two players to double up against our left back, are we? Why do you think Marcus Rashford was switched from the left wing to centre forward? I mentioned this at the start. I've got no doubt in my mind that the switch was made because he didn't trust Rashford to do the job that Anthony Marshall did. I'm tempted to give Anthony Marshall better than a 6. I've upped him to a 6 in my book, which is only decent to above average. I'm tempted to give him a 7, which is good. He did what was expected of him. And when he got the ball, he looked after the ball, he looked after it well, and he found a red shirt virtually every time. I think he gave it away 3 times, which is less than most players. And when you say whether he was fully fit, only Solskjaer will know, but he didn't look it. I don't get that. I don't get that. He's in position all the time. And then on one occasion, by the way, the ball came out of our box. He picked it up in the left back spot, beat 3 men, ran all the way up to their box, and Rashford was running through the inside right channel. He looked over to him twice. And when he's looking over to him twice, he's too far away for him to hit it to him, and there's players in between him and Rashford. There's no way he would have got it to him, and he knew that. So all he could do was continue to run with the ball. And he ended up getting a crunching challenge on the corner of their penalty area with 3 defenders around him, having left 3 defenders in his wake in our half. Anthony Marshall looked like a racehorse to me. I don't get it. And then, as I say, he was always in his defensive position as well. So he looked fully fit to me. He looked perfectly fine. He had a defensive job to do. He did it perfectly. And I've actually just said that I'm going to give him a 6, which is decent or above average. I'm in fact going to change it to a 7. So Anthony Marshall had a good game yesterday. Just good, not fantastic, not very good, but just a good game. Didn't do hardly anything wrong. Hardly anything. Marcus Rashford started at number 9, as I say. They've given him a 5 out of 10. Started as the focal point of the attack rather than wide left, but frustrated teammates in the first half with a number of missed time runs in behind. I agree with that. Became more involved when switched to the left. Yeah, that's probably true. They've given him a 5. I'm going to give Marcus Rashford a 4. I was tempted to give him a 3, but he did do a bit better when switched to the left. Number 9 doesn't suit him, if I'm honest. I thought he was particularly poor at number 9, but a little bit better for half an hour when he switched to the left. There's lots and lots that needs improving about Marcus. Some of the things that I could mention are things that people always think that it's about the ball. It is about the ball, of course it is, but your positional sense, your knowledge on the park can make you look a good player or a poor player. United had a corner, for example, that was swung by Luke Shaw towards a penalty spot, and Marcus is watching the ball come over. He's standing in front of the keeper just inside the 6-yard box. Their defenders move out, which is a dead normal move for Premier League defenders or professional players even. They come out. Once the ball goes out, they come out hoping to leave somebody in. If you're a forward, you know that. Sunday League forwards know that. So as that ball goes out, as the defenders move out, you've got to move out. And Marcus is stood in front of the keeper. Didn't really matter. It was a weak, it doesn't matter one bit. It was a weak header. If he wouldn't have been there, Marcus, the keeper would have just caught it anyway. It didn't matter one little bit. But it still shows, it still points to something. It's a lack of being switched on or a lack of understanding, one or the other. But if you don't understand it, it's time you did. And if it was just that you're not switched on, you need to be switched on. And it wasn't that he was left like jogging out and just behind them all. He's actually standing there in front of the keeper. It's headed towards the goal, and he's about 4 or 5 yards offside. And even though he's 4 or 5 yards offside, he still tries to flick it in the net, which he fails to do, by the way. The keeper palms it away from his foot. But it is shocking. It is shocking. It's just about being switched on or understanding the game. I don't know which it is. Either way, it's not good enough. And that's just one thing. I could go on and on. But he did do a bit better when switched to the left. So I'll give him a 4, Marcus. A poor game. I am going to do a rating the ratings. I'll be putting a poll on Twitter later for you to vote on to see who's going to be the subject of rating the ratings. I've given Luke Shaw a 9. I'm going to put Luke Shaw in it. I've given Fred a 6, and a 6 is a decent or above average game. So Fred, I'm going to put Fred in it. Luke Shaw, Fred, Scott McTominay, who I've up to a 7 from their 5, and I'm going to put Marcus Rashford in it. So yes, that will be the 4 players: Luke Shaw, Fred, Marcus Rashford, and Scott McTominay. So you'll be able to vote on them, and I'll do the rating show tomorrow. That's that for now. I'll be back with the rating show tomorrow. We've got Fulham on Wednesday. Can't wait for that one. Every game is absolutely massive. They're coming thick and fast, and we're desperate for the 3 points. No good going to Anfield, getting a draw, and then dropping points at Fulham. They've had a couple of people suspended from the game. They've been tough to beat, recent Fulham. I've watched a few games. They're proper well organised. Decent game. They might not have got beat again by Chelsea, but for that Robinson getting sent off just before half time. So I think it could be a tough game, but they have got a couple of suspensions to important players for them as well. Hopefully we can get the points, but we'll be back tomorrow discussing that one. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed it, please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anyone. Keep stum.